Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night Ghost Stories on a Sunday as nature intended. Here we are in the library, he said grandly. We've got the fire on, as you can see. And down there on the floor, you can see him. It's the Derpa Lerpa who is really enjoying himself in front of the fire there. I don't blame him, actually. It's perishing up here tonight. And hello, viewer David, who's joined us nice and early. We are still reading the brilliant, absolutely brilliant Haunted Places of Scotland. I've got to find out if these publishers do any other books because, in fact, we might even do that half time. We'll look up Goblin's Head and see what other books they do. What are we drinking tonight? We are drinking one of the subscription beers, Blanche Watteau Wit Beer, UK edition, apparently. 5% volume of alcohol. We use regional hops from Popperinge, as well as ungerminated wheat and several herbs for the specific identity of this cloudy beer. This thirst quencher opens with aromatic notes of coriander, followed by the flavour of fresh citrus and mild orange, with hints of wheat rather. This is followed by spicy and herbal notes and fresh hops with a slightly sour body. The fruity finish of lemon and apricot lingers in the mouth because of the mild tingle of carbonation. Can't wait to try this. This sounds absolutely gorgeous. Not picking up any of that from the smell, but anyway, what do you know? We haven't even read a story yet, and already we have a dead soldier. And Run VT.
Oh, it's jolly nice of you. Hello, dead soldier. Seen plenty of those in my time.
Indeed. Brewed and canned for Leroy Breweries in Belgium, imported to the UK by Beer 52. But there's the, he went a bit West Country there for a second, but there's the artwork, Blanche Watteau white beer, and established 1972 Leroy Breweries. So it's won awards. But anyway, what are we washing it down with? Brace yourselves. I forgot to go out and replenish the scotch tonight. I was going to get another bottle of the Western Gold Honey, and I realised that I was out of bump. Just at the moment, all the supermarkets and shops shut on a Sunday. So I went downstairs to the cupboard and I found in one of the jars my Christmas. It was blackberry and sloe liqueur. So we're having that tonight. It's the last of the Christmas liqueurs, he says, trying to get the stopper out without spilling any of his precious drink. So this is pretty potent stuff. This is vodka with blackberries from the garden and sloes that I think I picked them on the walk with Reg between Weston-super-Mare and, goodness me, Bream. So anyway, shall we crack on? Shall we crack on Mit the Ghost Stories? Because the sooner we crack on with Mit the Ghost Stories, the sooner I can have some supper, the sooner I can start tucking into the snacks we've got here. So, Sheephead Inn, Edinburgh. The fine old inn has been established here for many centuries, perhaps from as early as 1360, and the hostelry was visited by Mary Queen. Visited by Mary Queen if Scots. I think they mean Mary Queen of Scots, and James VI, who gave them who gave the then innkeeper a ram's head snuff box, much adorned and decorated. This was preserved at the Sheep Head until the 19th century when it was sold. A copy replaced the original, while the original is now at Dalmeny House. It was at the inn that in 1724 the funeral cortege of Maggie Dixon, who had been hanged for infanticide, rested before taking her body back to her home at Fisherow. Noises were heard coming from the coffin, and when it was opened, it was found that the woman was still alive and soon revived fully, earning her the nickname Half-Hangit Maggie. Having been hanged the once, she was deemed to have undergone her punishment, and she went on to live a long life. Although she had to read that again. Having been hanged the once, she was deemed to have undergone her punishment, and she went on to live a long life. Oh, that's dirt putting me off here. What are you doing? Oh, he's in his cat-lit tray having a poo. Well, what do you do on Sunday night? I tuned in to watch ghost stories, but instead I got a running commentary on a cat taking a dump. But anyway, having been hanged the once, she was deemed to have undergone her punishment, and she went on to live a long life, although she had to remarry her widowed husband, as she had been pronounced dead. Some people believe that the Sheep Head is haunted, and a former landlord known as the Major is said to have been witnessed in the bar, while the Skittle Alley is reported to be haunted by the bogle of a small girl. Public house and Skittle Alley, telephone number, website. Oh, got a runny nose here tonight, folks. And am I going to sneeze? Right. What's viewer David got to say for himself? He says, good evening from the man with spaghetti. And then he says something Scottish. So thank you, viewer David. Right. Shall we try this beer? What did it say it's got again? This thirst quencher opens with aromatic notes of coriander, followed by the flavour of fresh citrus and mild orange, with hints of wheat. Right, okay, let's have a smell. Okay. That certainly is different. This is followed by spicy and herbal notes and fresh hops with a slightly sour body. The fruity finish of lemon and apricot lingers in the mouth because of the mild tingle of carbonation. Yeah, I'm getting a little hint of apricot. God, it makes me want to have some apricots now. Right, Shield Hill. Set in rolling hills and 6 acres of wooded parkland, Shield Hill is a large mansion and incorporates an ancient castle at its core. The oldest part may date from as early as 1199, but the building was extended often in following centuries. Shield Hill was a property of the Chancellor family, although they only moved back here after their house at Cwthcwan was destroyed. The family supported Mary, Queen of Scots, and fought for her at the Battle of Langside in 1568. Unfortunately, this put them on the losing side, and Cwthcwan was burnt to the ground, so much so that no trace remains, apart from its name, obviously. The Chancellors only left Shield Hill in the 20th century, and since 1959, the mansion has been a country house hotel. The building is said to be haunted by a grey lady, the ghost of the young and good-looking daughter of one of the Chancellor Lords. She is said to be seen wrapped in a grey cloak. There are several versions of the story associated with her, and details are different. One is that the poor girl was raped by soldiers returning from a battle in the 1650s and became pregnant, but the child was cruelly taken from her at birth and left to die, and that she was driven to suicide. Another that was made pregnant by a gamekeeper's son, and her baby was born dead and then buried without her permission. The girl wept herself to death. A third that she fell to her death while trying to elope with her lover, a gamekeeper. Or a fourth that her father forbade her to see him and she committed suicide. Whatever the origin, her ghost has apparently been seen in recent times walking towards the burial place in the grounds of the hotel, and especially in one of the rooms, which is available to guests. She is mostly seen in the old keep and uses the original stone stair to move from floor to floor. Unexplained footsteps and thumps during the night have also been reported, as have chairs moving by themselves and television channels changing independently. There have also been reports of another bogle, said to be the spirit of a butler and to have been witnessed in the last couple of years. Hotel telephone number website. A ghost hunt was held in April 2009 here by Shield Hill Clairvoyance and Ghost Hunt. Website address. So I'm just going to go back to the Sheephead Inn. I've got to show you this. Look, so I don't know if you can see that where my finger is. Mary Queen if Scots. Just there, just where my finger is. Mary Queen if Scots. Mind you, I can talk. I write for a living, and well, partly write for a living, but I write and write and write, and I proofread, and I read it out to myself. In fact, I read it out to myself on my Facebook channel, and then as soon as it turns up in print, typos. Most annoying. Anyway, slange me for everybody. I think once you've got it in the system, you can taste it. Right. Shields Road Underground Station, Glasgow. The underground station was opened in 1897 and is said to have a grey lady, the phantom of a woman carrying an infant in its arms, seen on the platform. The apparition is then said to leap from the platform, still holding the child, during which a scream is then heard along with the weeping of an infant. I think we'll do one more, then we'll have a beer and a bump. Scale House. Standing close by the important Neolithic village of Skara Brae, Scale House is the most complete 17th century mansion in Orkney. The mansion was built for Bishop George Graham, the Arsenal manager for now. The mansion was built for Bishop George Graham in the 1620s and has fine gardens. A dozen skeletons were excavated from near the house in 1996, and human remains were also found beneath the stone flags of the hall floor, suggesting that the house was built on a burial ground. The building is reputedly haunted. Manifestations are said to have included the sound of feet coming from unoccupied areas and the apparition of an old woman. Other spooky occurrences have been reported, including a dog getting into such distress one night in the small hours that it hid under the bed and howled in distress, and a heavy weight as if someone invisible was sitting on a bed, which seemed to get up at the same time as the occupier of the bed. Scale House, open April to September daily, telephone number, website. I think it sounds like it should be called Skull House. Although the next one is quite amusing. So he said, oh, itchy, 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 itchy. Cheers, me beers. Right, so we're going to have some of the blackberry and sloe gin. Though I say so myself, pretty good stuff. I'm not kidding. This next story is Skeletor House. Doesn't say whether He-Man lives there, but anyway, Skeletor House. Skeletor House is a somewhat stark T-plan house with dormer windows, which dates from around the end of the 17th century. The building was restored in the 1970s and was recently put up for sale. Skeletor was long a property of the Forbes family. George Forbes was a Jacobite and fought at Culloden in 1746, which is just gone 5:45, while John Forbes married a Portuguese princess, rose to become a field marshal in the Portuguese army, and died in Brazil in 1809. One ghost story is that a rent collector was slain at the main doorway of the house, and his bogle is said to haunt the spot where he was murdered. Anything else to add to the end of that one? No. You enjoying yourself down there, Derp? You're sat right in front of the fire. Look, there he is, sat right in front of the fire. He's not daft. Cheers, me beers. I am, because I forgot to get myself some Western Gold honey. But anyway. Skene House. Skene House, an extensive castellated mansion, incorporates an old castle and was a property of the Skene family from 1318 until 1827. One of the family, Alexander Skene of Skene, who died in 1724, was said to be a warlock, although his only crime appears to have been to study on the continent. He is said not to have had a shadow and to have been responsible for defiling graves and all sorts of wickedness. A phantom carriage occupied by himself and the devil is said to ride across the Loch of Skene at midnight on New Year's Eve, only to sink before it reaches the shore. A similar story is told of James Carnegie, Earl of South Esk, whose castle was at Kinnaird. See that entry. I don't know what to make of that. What do you make of that, Derps? He just looked at me. Oh, just looked at me as if to say, get on with your bloody ghost stories, man, for goodness sake. Slanish me bar. I got to say, my homemade fruit liqueur is very nice, but the sloes do give it a bit of a sharpness. Anyway, Skibo Castle. The present Skibo Castle dates from the 19th century, but it stands on the site of an ancient castle. The castle was reputedly haunted by the ghost of a young woman. The story goes that a local girl visited Skibo one day when it was only occupied by the keeper of the castle, but she was never seen again. She was assaulted, then murdered by the man, and from then on, the apparition of a dishevelled, partially dressed girl was witnessed running through the building, and unexplained cries and screams were heard. Years later, during renovations, a woman's skeleton was found hidden behind a wall. When the remains were buried, the hauntings ceased. The castle was owned by the bishops of Caithness until 1565, but later passed to the Greys. The Marquis of Montrose was imprisoned here after being captured at Ardvrec Castle. Jean Seaton, wife of Robert Grey of Skibo, hit one of Montrose's guards with a leg of meat, and the family were fined. The present house was built for Andrew Carnegie in 1898. Carnegie was born in Dunfermline in 1835, but emigrated to America when he was a teenager and made a fortune from railways and iron and steel. He was one of the richest men of his time, but gave away most of his money. Dunfermline. He was one of the richest men of his time, but gave away most of his money. Dunfermline Wrong words to put together. He was one of the richest men in his time, but gave away most of his money. Dunfermline benefiting particularly. The castle now houses an exclusive country club, the Carnegie Club. Exclusive country club, telephone number, website, blah, blah, blah. Oh, got some fan mail. Let's just read the fan mail. Oh my goodness me, I can't read that out. Bear with, folks. Bear with. I'm just being a little bit mischievous. I'm putting the boot into Nigel Farage because I can't stand the man. Right, let's crack on. Let's leave Nigel Farage in the ditch where he belongs. Right, 24 minutes past. So, Skipness Castle. Did we have a beer? Did we have a beer and a bump just now, Dirk? Ooh, beer hiccups. Skipness Castle, with fine views over the Kilbrannan Sound to Arran. Skipness Castle is a solid castle of enclosure with a curtain wall surrounding a tower house and ranges of buildings. The first castle was probably built by the McSweens around 1247, which was rebuilt by the MacDonalds, but in 1499 Skipness was acquired by the Campbell Earls of Argyll. The castle was besieged unsuccessfully by Alasdair Colkitto MacDonald in the 1640s, but was abandoned at the end of the 17th century, then being used as a farmsteading. In 1898, the farm was removed and the ruins consolidated. Near the castle is Skipness House, built for the Graham family at the end of the 19th century, although it incorporates some of a much older house at the end of the 19th century. I'll read that again. Near the castle is Skipness House, built for the Graham family at the end of the 19th century, although it incorporates some of a much older house. Full stop. This house is still occupied. Skipness is said to have a Graugach, a green lady, described as being as small as a child, but dressed in green and with golden hair. The spirit would clean and tidy and feed hens, but it is also accused of nearly killing a man it believed was sleeping in the wrong bed. The power to befuddle opponents was also attributed to the Green Lady, as the story goes that several times she managed to cause confusion among those attempting to read it again. The power to befuddled there. The power to befuddle opponents was also attributed to the Green Lady, as the story goes that several times she managed to cause confusion among those attempting to attack the castle, leading them to withdraw. The Green Lady is reported as being witnessed in recent times. Historic Scotland Castle and Chapel on the Shore, access at all reasonable times. Tower open April to September. Short walk to Castle, then walk to Chapel, which may be muddy. HistoricScotland.gov.uk website address, blah, 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 blah. What are we up to? 27 minutes. We're almost up to the halfway mark, Derbs. Then we can start tucking into the magnificent snacks we've got here. Yeah, I can definitely apricot now. Anyway, slange me bar. Oh. Slains Castle. Oh, is that the character from 2000 AD? Let's find out. Perched on precipitous cliffs above the sea, the substantial ruins of Slains Castle are very atmospheric and impressive. Most of what remains is from a later mansion, but the ruins incorporate part of an ancient stronghold. There were extensive gardens and pleasure grounds, but these have all gone. Slains was built by Francis Hay, 9th Earl of Errol, after James VI had destroyed his castle at Old Slains, following a rebellion of 1594. Dr. Johnson and Boswell visited in 1773, and Bram Stoker had the inspiration for writing Dracula here, although Slains was not a ruin at the time, as some have suggested. The house was sold by the Hays in 1916 and was unroofed and stripped within a few years. Recent reports in the press suggest that there are plans to turn the evocative ruins into a holiday complex. Some accounts have the castle haunted by the ghost of Victor Hay, 21st Earl of Errol, who died in the first quarter of the 20th century. Other eerie stories include a phantom horse and carriage and the apparitions of two soldiers dressed in uniforms from World War II. Depends what army they're in. But anyway, we are just about to hit the half-hour mark, so we will do one more and then half-time. We've just busted through the half-hour mark, so Smugglers Inn and Strother, as opposed to the Smugglers Inn and Summers. Overlooking the harbour, the Smugglers, whatever that shop is, overlooking the harbour, the Smugglers Inn stands in the pretty East Newark village of Anstruther and is believed to date from the late 16th century, although there may have been an establishment on the site for 300 years before then. This was a coaching inn and was also used by smugglers as a convenient base. The building is said to be haunted, but reports of the bogle are vague. Hotel, telephone number, website address. It's haunted places of Scotland. So this place, is it haunted? Could be. Are you not sure? Anyway, right, half time, folks. Let's have some snacks. So we're going to have some brown rice snack, wasabi flavor. These are gorgeous. They're also hot. Oh my goodness me, Derb. They are hot, 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 hot. Right. Oh, lovely. I think we'll top up the bump first. And then it's the second half of tonight's beer. And, well, it's a Sunday night. Hence why it's Sunday night ghost stories. And what, quelle surprise, it's the coffee stout from Aldi. Which is what, 5.5%? I can't remember. That's a quick look on the 5.2%. So no lightweight. I'll try and remember, where did I get that beer that was 7%? It might have been Home Bargains, actually. Must remember to pop in there more often because they've got some very good beers in there. Right. This was a book that I bought in Minehead the other day in the community bookshop, West Country Mysteries. This will probably get an airing at some stage. I was convinced that I've got this book, and I probably have, but it was only, well, I say only £2. It was pay what you think it's worth. And I said, would you take £2 for it? And they said, yes. So I thought, right, okay. But yeah, West Country Mysteries, introduced by Colin Wilson. So that will be one that we will be keeping for a future episode. We're also going to have now some of the wasabi mix. Oh, the beer burps. 30, bang on, 34 minutes. Oh, these are delicious. So I'm just taking a photograph of Derp to share with Reg. Oh, lovely. Right, half time. So I'm going to share with you some footage from my trail camera that I set up outside. And just got to see if I can find the right video clip. So not only has it picked up a hedgehog, which is exciting stuff, it's picked up 2 hedgehogs, it's picked up 3 hedgehogs. Anyway, here is footage from the other night. So I'm trying to get the blessed thing to run here. So here is footage from the other night. And as you can see, there is a fox in the footage. Well, watch this. This is quite comical. Hedgehog has stock stood still and oops, Fox discovers hedgehog. So he's hoovering up the cat food I put out there, and then whoops, there we go. Hilarious, I think. But yeah, 3 hedgehogs. Good Lord. I'm a bit greedy. Oh, these are magnificent, honestly, folks. What are we having for supper tonight, Derp? Are we just going to have soup and pasta? I think we are. Beyond that, I can't think of anything else to add. It's been a long day because I woke up at stupid this morning, could not get back to sleep. So I thought, even though it's a Sunday morning, let's go downstairs and crack on with some work, which is what I did. And preparing for my 2 webcasts that I do on a Sunday. Well, I don't prepare for this one, but apart from put the beer in the fridge. And that's been it, really. I'm really looking forward to cracking on with work this week. I am this close to finishing off another project. I think Thursday, I'm possibly down at Yeovilton. Wednesday is a 2-reg walk. So really looking forward to seeing where we go this week. Thrilled to be alive, as Rush put it in 1987 on the track Prime Mover from their album Hold Your Fire. Coffee stout, rich, dark and indulgent, brewed in the UK in partnership with Hall and Woodhouse. 5.2% volume of alcohol. Rich, dark and indulgent with subtle coffee aromas, caramel and vanilla notes. Complex, yet perfectly smooth. Spa Hotel, Strathpeffer. The Spa Hotel was one of the first hotels to be built in Strathpeffer and was a fine establishment in 6 acres of grounds with tennis courts, croquet lawns and putting greens. The hotel was used as a fever hospital during World War II, but was then accidentally burned down to be left a ruin. The site on Kennellan Drive was eventually redeveloped, and it is now occupied by housing. A nurse is said to have been murdered in the hotel during the war, and her ghost is reported to have haunted the ruins. And that's nothing else to add to that. Let's have a bit of the coffee stout. I haven't introduced you to our beer glass tonight, as always. It's the magnificent Rush beer glass, courtesy of viewers Kirsten and Steve in the United States. So cheers, me beers. Oh, lovely. Spedlin's Tower. Dating from the 15th century, Spedlin's Tower is an impressive stronghold of the Jardine family. It was abandoned for nearby Jardine Hall and became ruinous, but was restored in the 1970s and is occupied again. Spedlin's was reportedly haunted by the ghost of a miller called James or Dunty Porteous. Yeah, again. Spedlins was reportedly haunted by the ghost of a miller called James or Dunty Porteous, who had the misfortune to be imprisoned here around 1650, which is 10 minutes to 7, after trying to burn down his own mill. The reason why is not recorded. The laird, Sir Alexander Jardine, forgetting about his prisoner, was called away to Edinburgh and took the key to the dungeon with him. Porteous gnawed at his feet and hands before eventually dying of hunger. One account states that he was so desperate to free himself from his manacles that he had ripped his own hands off. It seems unlikely that Jardine's wife, Margaret Douglas, or his servants could not have done something to help Porteous. Some say that Margaret was a very mean and miserly woman and left the miller to starve, as she did not want the expense of feeding him. His ghost is then said to have manifested itself with all sorts of activity, shrieking through the tower and leaving nobody in the tower in peace. Eventually, his angry bogle was contained in the dungeon by a Bible held in a niche by the entrance. This only after many exorcisms had failed to lay the restless ghost. Once, in 1710, when the Bible was removed for repair, the ghost is said to have followed the family to nearby Jardine Hall and caused all sorts of commotion in the laird's bedroom, such as throwing both the laird and his wife out of their bury that again. Once in 1710, when the Bible was removed for repair, the ghost is said to have followed the family to nearby Jardine Hall and caused all sorts of commotion in the laird's bedroom, such as throwing both the laird and his wife out of their beds until the Bible was returned. It is said that the Bible is preserved and in a local museum. After the tower was ruinous, tales circulated that the apparition of a tall man with white hair had been seen in the tower basement, reportedly with no hands, and the sounds of moaning were also apparently heard. A stick poked through the lock of the prison was reported to be withdrawn and all chewed up, as if the ghost had tried to eat it. There have been no reports of the ghost since the tower was restored and reoccupied. Which makes you wonder whether the stories were told to just keep people away from it. Now, when it comes to these little snacks, I can only blame friend Faye for getting me into them. As you can see, that picture pretty much sums up our friendship. So, cheers, me beard. Oh. Good Lord. For the second time tonight, we have a dead soldier. And Run VT.
Oh, it's jolly nice of you. Hello, dead soldier. Seen plenty of those in my time.
Indeed. Spiny Palace. Reflecting the perilous position many medieval bishops found themselves in, Spiny Palace, the palace of the bishops of Moray, consists of a massive 15th century tower, Davies Tower, at one corner of a large walled courtyard. The palace was probably built by Bishop Innes just after Elgin Cathedral and city had been burnt and plundered by Alexander Stewart, the Wolf of Badenoch. Oh, the beer burps again. Oh, the beer burps. No, we've already done the beer burps. That was the second beer burps tonight, 46 minutes. The Wolf of Badenoch. Is the first name Kemi? Bishop David Stewart from the Arithmetics. Bishop David Stewart, who died in 1475, excommunicated the Gordon Earl of Huntly and built the great keep Davies Tower to defend himself against any retribution. Famous visitors include James IV, Mary, Queen of Scots, and the Earl of Bothwell, third husband of Mary, Queen of Scots. The palace was abandoned in 1688 and became ruinous. There were stories of the bishops being in league with the devil, and that every Halloween witches would be seen flying to the castle. Unexplained lights and unearthly music are still said to be heard coming from the bishop's chambers. There are several reports of ghosts. The phantom of a piper is alleged to haunt the building, as is the ghost of a lion said to have been a pet of one of the bishops, witnessed in Davies Tower and the ruinous Kitchen Range. One witness is reputed to have observed a large paw print, and another visitor reported being attacked by some large beast, although there was apparently nothing there. There are also accounts of the Spectre of a woman seen sitting in an arched alcove by the entrance to the tower, and of a white, indistinct apparition observed in the tower, along with some very uncomfortable feelings. Historic Scotland open April to October daily, November to March, weekends only, closed 25th, 26th of December. Sorry, closed 25th to the 25th of December, and 1st and 2nd of January. Telephone number, website. Honestly, proofread for God's sake. 25th to the 25th of December. So it's open Boxing Day then. Just having a quick look. All right, Skipness Castle, Spiny Palace, and Slains Castle. So there we go. There they all are. Looking slightly ruinous. Oh, cheers me beers. In the magnificent United Federation of Planet Shot Glass, again, viewers Kirsten and Steve in the United States, slange me up. Oh, lovely. St. Andrew's Castle. Standing close to the remains of the cathedral in the historic seaside town, the castle is a ruinous stronghold of the bishops of St. Andrews. It saw action in the Wars of Independence, and this is where Cardinal David Beaton was murdered in 1546, which is about 15:45, and hung naked from the walls. His body went unburied for more than 7 months, preserved in a barrel of brine in one of the vaults of the castle. It is thought that Beaton's remains were eventually buried either at Kilrenny or in the burial ground at of Blackfriars in St. Andrews. The mines from the subsequent siege are accessible. The ghost of Archbishop John Hamilton, who was hanged at Stirling after supporting Mary, Queen of Scots, is said to haunt the castle. An alternative identity has been suggested as Cardinal Beaton, who is also believed to haunt Melgund and Ethie Castle, as well as Blebo and Balfour House, while his mistress is said to haunt clay pots. See those entries. The apparition of Beaton is also said to be seen in a phantom coach in the streets of the town, although the coach of Archbishop James Sharp, who was murdered in 1679 on Magus Muir to the west of St Andrews, is also said to have been spotted. There are also tales of a white lady seen near the stronghold and on the nearby beach, possibly the same one seen more often at the cathedral. She has been described as being clad in white with a veil which obscures her face and carries a book. Also see St Andrew's Cathedral and Dean's Court. Historic Scotland open all year daily 9:30 to 16:30, closed 25th to 26th of December and the 1st and 2nd of January. Telephone number, website. What are we up to? 52 minutes. Oh, we might end pretty much on the hour on the dot here, Derbs. Sludge. St Andrew's Cathedral. Standing by the sea in the historic town of St Andrews, not much remains of what was formerly the large... Did we just read that one? We did. Goodness me. No, we didn't read that one. No, sorry. I'm getting mixed up here. St Andrew's Cathedral. Standing by the sea in the historic town of St Andrews, not much remains of what was formerly the largest and most magnificent cathedral in Scotland. The building was destroyed after the Reformation and then quarried for materials, but there is a fine museum of early Christian sculpture in what remains of the cloister. St Rule founded a monastery here in the 8th century, and the stair of St Rule's Tower is said to be haunted by a ghostly monk. Is he called Harry? Let's find out. Who was murdered in the building. The apparition is thought to be friendly, to appear around the full moon, and to have been witnessed in recent times. Sometimes manifesting itself by pushing past people, sometimes by giving people a helping hand on the narrow stair. It is possible to climb to the top of the tower. A white lady, the apparition of a veiled woman in a flowing white dress, reputedly haunts the cathedral ruins, as well as the area within the precinct wall near the castle, down on the beach, and in Dean's Court. See separate entry. One detail is that she is mostly seen in winter months and on stormy evenings or nights, although evidence for this seems rather flimsy. There was a sighting in 1975 when two visitors reputedly saw the apparition coming towards them, and they were surprised to see that the face was veiled. The ghost was described as wearing a light grey dress, not white, appeared to be carrying a book, perhaps a prayer book, and the apparition then vanished as it approached closer. Other accounts also have it wearing white gloves. There is no clear information as to who the white lady was in life. One imaginative version is that she was a nun who was so horribly disfigured that she wore the veil, and that if people should actually see her face, it will drive them insane. It is not unusual, however, for ghosts to be observed wearing veils. One of the towers defending the precinct walls is said to have been used to store the bodies of plague victims in the 17th century. Some stories have the ghost associated with this tower. Indeed, that she was buried here. Historic Scotland, open all year, daily, closed 25th, 26th of December and 1st to 2nd of January. Telephone number, website. I think we'll probably get to the, well, what do you reckon? Now, I'm just seeing where can we get to the bottom of. We're going to have some more snacks, Derbs. Cheers, my beers. Slange. St. Boswell's. For many years, around 1900, there were reports of the sighting of an apparition of a man. He was described as being clad in black and was believed to be dressed in the manner of a minister of the Presbyterian Church from around 50 years before. The bogle is reported to have been witnessed by several people, including by two sisters of the Scots of Lessenden House, who were related to Sir Walter. That's all it says. What are we up to? 58. Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of this page and then. Cheers, Derbs. St. Catherine Hotel. St. Catherine Hotel was said to be haunted by a green lady, a phantom dressed in a green frock. One account had a member of staff being so terrified after she had heard. One account had a member of staff being so terrified after she heard and then felt heavy breathing on the back of her neck, even although nobody else was present, that she flung a tray of drinks into the air and fled the room used as the drinks store. The story is that this was where a woman had hanged herself. The hotel has been closed. Oh, the beer burps again, Derbs. Even although nobody else was pregnant, even though nobody else was pregnant, nobody else was present. Got pregnancy on the brain here. Right. That's because I've got one of my hedgehogs in the garden. It's either pregnant or it has a massive tumor in its belly. We're not entirely sure, so we're going to keep a weather eye on it, but set up all the trail cams, so cheers, me beers. Oh, lovely. Slange. St. John's the Baptist, just gone past the hour mark. There we go. St. John the Baptist Church, Ayr. Only the strong tower remains of the former parish church of Ayr, which was cruciform in plan and some 140 foot long. A church here is mentioned in 1233 and was the scene of a parliament held by Robert the Bruce in 1315. In the 1650s, the church and burial ground were enclosed by a fort built by Cromwell, and most of the church was demolished in the 18th century. The tower of the church is said to be haunted by the hazy apparition of a man. Open to the public by arrangement, telephone number, other times view from exterior, website address. St. John's Church, Gardenston. The ruins of the old parish church dedicated to St. John the Evangelist and associated burial ground are located in a fine spot by the sea on Gamry Bay. The church is believed to have been established at the beginning of the 11th century, and the building was also known as the Church of Skulls from the defleshed heads of 3 Vikings that are said to have been kept here. The church went out of use in the 1820s, but burials were still made here well into the 20th century. One story is that strange, eerie lights were seen around the church and burial grounds on the eve of a funeral. Sorry, let me just go. And the building was also known as the Church of Skulls from the defleshed heads of 3 Vikings that are said to have once been kept here. So, defleshed heads. So, skulls, essentially. Well, fair enough. Church of Skulls. Okay, I get it now. I thought perhaps they were trying to be clever. I was trying to be clever. Out of my depth. I think either the last trois or deux tonight. I'm not entirely sure. St. Mary's Church, Haddington. In a pleasant and peaceful situation by the River Tyne, St. Mary's is a substantial cross-shaped church with an aisled nave and choir. It is the largest parish church in Scotland, although it has St. Nicholas in Aberdeen to rival it. The roof is vaulted in stone apart from the restored nave. There are interesting medieval carvings, including green men and scallop shells, the latter the sign of a place of pilgrimage. The church houses an impressive marble monument to John Maitland, Lord Thirlstane and Chancellor of Scotland, who died in 1595. His wife and his son. I'll read that again. The church houses an impressive marble monument to John Maitland, Lord Thirlstane and Chancellor of Scotland, who died in 1595, and his wife and his son, which is now known as the Chapel of the Three Kings. Beneath the monument is the Lauderide. Beneath the monument is the Lauderdide. I'm jumping down a line there. Beneath the monument is the Lauderdale family vault. The grim-faced ghost of John Maitland, Duke of Lauderdale, who died in 1682, is said to have been seen by the chapel, as well as at Thirlstane Castle. Also see that entry. Indeed, it is said that often his coffin would move about the tomb without explanation, until it was realized that the vault was often flooded by the River Tyne, which flows past the building. Open April to September daily, telephone number, website. Right, are we going to do un more or do more? No, I think we'll do more. So cheers, me beers. Goodness me, has it gone 10 o'clock? St. Mary's Church, Edinburgh. The street, which runs from the Canongate to the Cowgate, is said to be haunted by the apparition of a distressed young woman in beggared clothes. The story goes that in 1916, a young woman was stabbed to death here by a man who sprang out of a doorway, attacked and murdered her, and then fled the scene. Right, last un for tonight. And then it's supper. Oh, slange. St. Michael's in Lucas. The inn, which stands at an important crossroads, dates from 1799 and was a coaching inn. The establishment is known locally as St. Mike's, and is an atmospheric and cozy place with low ceilings and open fires. There are several accounts of ghostly activity in the inn, which is not believed to frightening. Should be not believed to be frightening, but it's a typo. There are several accounts of ghostly activity in the inn, which is not believed to be frightening. Manifestations are said to include the apparition of a woman seen standing at a window, as well as the window of this room appearing to have opened itself, while bedclothes have also been mysteriously disturbed. More than one guest staying at the inn has reported that someone tried to get into their room during the night, even although there were no other guests, and the sounds of a child crying have been heard when no infants were present. The lights in the function room are also said to have turned on and off by themselves, and other odd occurrences such as unnaturally cold areas, a feeling as if someone was pushing past, and a guest reporting that they had talked to a child on the stairs one morning, although there was no child in the inn. Inn telephone number. A paranormal investigation was undertaken by Paranormal Discovery. Website address. Right, that's it for tonight. Again, another typo here. I can't remember what it was now. Manifestation is that the apparition of a woman seen standing at the window, as well as the window of this room appearing to have opened itself, while bedclothes were also mysteriously. More than one guest staying at the inn has reported that someone tried to get into the room during the night, even though there were no other guests. And the sound, I can't remember what it was that I saw. It was annoying. No, I've lost it now in every sense of the phrase, but it was a typo. Right. That's it for tonight. Cheers, me beers. Oh, delicious. Slange. Delicious. Wow. That's it for now. I'm going downstairs to have some supper. What am I having for supper, Derps? Am I going to have some soup and some pasta, or am I going to have a salad? You tell me. What do you think I should have? I know you want some food. There's a surprise. See, he's back. Look. There he is. There we go. Perfectly timed. So, fingers crossed, we'll be back on Wednesday for Sunday Night Ghost Stories Extra on a Wednesday. Until then, from myself and Derpy, I hope you enjoyed the show. I didn't. I enjoyed the beer, but the beer burps again. Anyway, until the next time, as ever, thank you for watching. I forgot what the spiel is at the end of the show here. It's been a long day. Right. Anyway, that's it for tonight, folks. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be back for Sunday Night Ghost Stories Extra on a Wednesday. Until then, it behoves me to say thank you for watching. Why not? What else are you going to do on a Sunday night than watch a confused man from Dudley with holes in his head, drink ghost stories, and read alcohol? Come on, folks. You can do better than me. I am trapped in this tragic existence. You're not. So, until then, as always, thank you for watching. Stay safe. Stay out of trouble. Please don't have nightmares. Good night.